so I could have a fighting chance, I guess you could say. So when I first started working out, a personal trainer took interest in me. He was he came up to me very bluntly, very honestly, and he's like, "You're doing everything wrong, man. But you have the work ethic. You're in here for hours every single day." He's like, "Let me help you out." And after he got me in shape, he was kind enough to let me shadow him, meaning like as he trains clients, I was right there just watching him work, taking notes, and I fell in love with the craft because there's a lot that goes behind personal training. It's just not a workout. And I fell in love with it when I was about 19 and never stopped doing it.
Awesome. Now, when you said that your excuse me mentor said you're doing everything wrong, how did you first react to that or respond to that?
Well, at first I was like, honestly, I was like, what the fuck? Like, who the fuck are you? That's how I reacted.
Easy on the
But,
language, please. Easy on the language.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But this guy, he's a very experienced trainer. He to this day trains celebrities of all types. And I was lucky enough to set my ego aside, to be smart enough to set my ego aside and listen to this man because this guy, he's a very well known trainer. Like I said, he trains celebrities um, of all types, and he's made a very good name for himself. So I just listened to what he had to say.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times, especially if we're not in the right frame of mind to receive that, we're like, well, fine then, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what usually happens in gyms when a trainer goes up to a client and or a potential client and says, "You mind if I help you out?" They'll get offended and they'll just brush them off. But just like this man helped me out, you don't know who's actually offering the help. He might be a 40, 50-year-old veteran with 20 bodybuilding titles under his belt. And sometimes just setting aside your ego and listening helps.
Yeah, and that's something I've had to learn too, because unfortunately, so many times where people that are asking are there to just pitch us something or sell us something.
Hmm.
Now I understand that that's their job, that's what they're trained to do. They need to make money and stuff, but it's conditioned us to turn off or automatically reject help from anyone. Like you said, it could be somebody with 18 different titles or whatever the recognitions are in their field offering that help.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
exactly.
so I've learned to at least be open to see why they're really offering help. At least get to that point, then I can determine if it's a good fit or not.
Yeah.
So
So throughout my years in fitness, I've learned, and including myself, that it's a very intimidating thing, especially for somebody who doesn't know how to work out or somebody who's very overweight. It's very intimidating for another person that they see as almost they see this chiseled body or they see this somebody who is in amazing shape come up to them. It's intimidating. So the best way for me that I've learned how to sell personal training is not to sell personal training, if that makes sense.
it
And
does.
it just introduce yourself. If they want to sit down, talk, you talk, you it, you present what your craft is, how long you've been around, and if they see the value in maybe trying you out, then okay, but it has to be their idea because it took a lot of courage for them to come into that gym, and it takes a lot of courage to continue going to that gym regardless of all the failures that you may have during working out. So
Yeah.
it's
And
best.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, right. No, no, go. It's all good.
Okay.
Go.
Sorry. you know, that's it's building that rapport with that other individual, that relationship.
Yeah,
Because when I first started in financial services that I do, and I was at, hey, how's it going? You want to buy my product?
hmm
It didn't work out very well. I
right.
had to, thanks for showing up. Maybe in your case, hey, good job for showing up today. I see that you've been here several times. That's awesome. Keep
Yeah,
it up. Let me know if I can help you, and build that rapport, build that relationship, and have that sincerity in really wanting to help them and not just make the sell.
yes, exactly. So just be genuine about your intention. And for me, at least, when I worked in a conventional gym, it took me 10, 15 conversations with a person for them to be like, you know what, let me give this guy a try. And it came from them. Like I said, it's best if it's their idea. And because it's a very intimidating type of environment. There's a lot of big guys, there's a lot of very strong women. And, if you're a woman and you have a disability or injuries, and to your right of you, there's another female, but she is in amazing shape, you're automatically going to think less of yourself. And so it takes a lot of patience to sell personal training. And and it takes like what you said, creating that rapport.
Yeah. And, if you really love what you do, if you're passionate about what you do, you're passionate about fitness, personal training. I'm passionate about helping others, about finance and all that stuff. They're going to see that. They're
Yeah,
going to see that you're not there just for the sale. You're there because you're passionate about it. You want to help others have that same enjoyment, whatever, out of it that you've had.
exactly. And I think one reason I'm so passionate about it is because of my past experiences. So this might sound a little weird, but to me, doesn't matter how old you are or how strong you are, to me, in my eyes, you're that kid who was getting bullied and beat on, and I see you like a reflection almost as myself. So I'll give you my 100% attention every single time, and it's really my past that molded me into becoming a um, personal training studio owner. Then eventually, I wanted to become a name brand, like a Equinox or or a Crunch, something like that.
Yeah. And I would like to know how we've talked a little bit off camera before today and stuff, and a couple of things we talked about is life. What? How would you define life? What's life to you? What's someone who's living life?
Living life like on their terms or being successful in life, or what do you mean
Yeah, on
exactly?
their terms, successful, however you define it, however they define it.
Also, life to me is like an endless domino effect of moments.
I like that.
So those moments, those decisions, the lack of making a decision could has immense power and it could change your life permanently. Just one moment, just one decision. So to me, life is just a series of moments that just follow each other. And you just have to try your best to try to make the right decision or to try to live that moment to the fullest. And for people who have reached success, um, in my opinion, they, for the most part, have tried their best to make all the right decisions. Not saying that they haven't failed, but they are definitely living their moments to the fullest. Every successful person that I listen to on YouTube, that's one of their main themes: living life to the fullest, and that's what life is to me.
I love that.
Because one
And
one one decision, that's it, one decision or one lack or not making that one decision, that could change your life permanently, regardless what it is.
yeah, and I'll refer back to when your previous mentor said you're doing it all wrong. If you were to decide to quit then, you
Yeah,
wouldn't you wouldn't have your studio or your company or your brand or anything like that.
exactly. I still, to this day, I'm in Georgia, he's in New Jersey. To this day, I call, text him 4 or 5 times a year, and I just thank him. I'm like, hey, you saved my life, because I was doing a lot of stupid things and hanging around with a lot of stupid people. And who knows if I would have, if I might be dead right now. And so I thank this person. Thank you so much, because you don't know what you did for me. For him, it was just an everyday thing. He's training someone, but he gave me that attention that I didn't have. So he changed my life completely.
Yeah, you don't have to be a trained mentor to be a mentor if
Exactly.
your intent and heart are in the right place.
Exactly.
And I could tell that when you show up to work and you're helping your clients and stuff, you're not doing a job. You're living your life. You're living who you are. You're living in
This
those
is
moments as you described before.
this is who I am. This is not a career anymore, because this is just who I am, and this is something that I need to do, because this is just a part of my being now. And one of the main reasons that I'm still a personal trainer are the people. So I always like to say that I'm in the people's business.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's for the people. Is I've been blessed to meet and get to know hundreds of people from all walks of life, from single moms to presidents and CEOs of banks to celebrities to all types of people, because of personal training. And it's very humbling sometimes. You know, it's very humbling sometimes when you see somebody who, let's say, got in a car accident and now they're paralyzed, and they're still trying to better themselves. That's a humbling feeling. That makes me take a step back and say, wow, I'm so lucky to be your trainer now. I'm honored. Thank you. And so that's why going back to what you said, it's who I am. It's like I don't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. And it could also be a reality check for us sometimes too.
Yeah,
When you're working with somebody and they've gone through this, you're like, I was complaining about this? Really?
yeah,
Hello. So it's a humbling reality check, that helps you appreciate what you have more and then in turn grow even more.
exactly, exactly. So when I was about 16, I met this trainer. His name is Albert. He got me in great shape, phenomenal shape. And when I was 17, I had brain surgery, and it's because I have epilepsy. I get seizures. So I had brain surgery that, like a lot of people say, took a left turn and went from good to bad to worse real quick. I My brain swelled up and I flatlined, and I was in a coma for about a month. When I woke up from this coma, uh, I forgot basically everything: read, write, talk, walk. I even forgot my parents' faces. And then when I was able to, I guess, regroup all my memories and start walking again, I went straight back to Albert. And I was about 19 at this time. And I went straight back to Albert, and he got me in shape again. And so that's the type of impact a personal trainer could have into in somebody's life, you know. And so, like I said, he saved my life because during that time, I even contemplated suicide, and like I thought my life was over. But he totally changed my view, and he totally changed who I am, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They can have such an impact, um, and not even realize it.
Yeah.
You know, um, but where did Love Your Flex? Where did that name come from?
Okay. So love reflects. It took a lot of time for me to come up with a name that resonated with me. You know. So one of the things that personal trainers or gym managers do is that they focus on your weak points to try to sell you personal training because then they'll make it seem like because of these weak points, there is no hope for you and you need them. And I know this because at the beginning of my career, I was one of those managers training trainers the wrong way, how to sell personal training. And then I just got sick of it. I rethought the process and I got just sick of who I was becoming and I got sick of the whole traditional gym process. So love your flex is basically loving yourself for who you are because different people have different muscles to flex for different reasons. And so if you're an intellectual, your brain, that's your muscle. You know what I mean? So if you're a professional arm wrestler, that's your muscle. You gotta work on your forearms and arms. Like everybody works out for different reasons and does exercises in different ways. And regardless of where your starting point is, you have to love yourself because what's the point? Like if you get in great shape and you still look in the mirror and disgusted with what you see. So that's where love flex came from.
I love that. It's that self image, and that self love that you're helping, and
Yeah,
understanding that everybody has different ideas about their self image. Everybody has different motives. That's something I learned real quick. You know, um, Especially for me, money is not always a motivating factor. Money's a nice thing to have, but it's not always a driving force.
no,
Or what's a driving force for somebody is a total repellent for somebody else.
exactly.
So I love that you have that approach and you understand that, and um, you apply that in your own life. Because you've made those shifts in your life as needed and grown to
Hmm.
who you are and followed who you want to be.
Yeah, thank you for that. Um, because of this approach, um, I never really lasted more than 2 or 3 years or 4 years in a gym setting. The managers will always get mad at me. They would be like, "Why are you telling these people that they could work out without you? Because they can't. They could educate themselves the way I did, and they could get in shape. Everybody that I train has all the tools to get in shape of their own. If they're training with me, it's because they actually see the value of me being there. It's not because I have a sales pitch because I don't. I talk to everybody and I talk to everybody differently and I get to know everybody. So they, in a sense, become like family to me. So so yeah. So it's it's like I said, it's very personal training has been a very humbling experience for me, and I can't I can't even fathom trying to take advantage of somebody because of some sort of weakness, you know, and that's
Yeah,
nothing to.
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case in many industries and many fields. But
Yeah.
You know, that this kind of segues into my next question. You talked about you work with, I've got some notes over on this screen. That's why I keep glancing over there.
That's fine.
But you talk about you've worked with celebrities and CEOs of businesses and everybody in all different walks of life, and they've all got their passion. They've all pursuing their thing. They're flexing their muscle. How does physical
Hmm.
fitness tie into all of that? You know, me my thing is helping others, and one of those ways is financial services. How does personal fitness help me pursue my passion in
Okay,
your
so one
eyes?
of the easiest way in my eyes, so one of the easiest, well, I don't want to say easiest, but one of the simplest ways to kind of increase your discipline or push yourself a little more is at the gym. So if you're at the gym and you normally do 12 reps of, let's say, squat, and a couple of days later you come in and you say, you know what, I'm gonna do 15 reps of this same weight, and a couple of days later you come in and you're like, you know, I'm gonna do 20 reps of this same weight until you reach the point that you go to your failure, and that means you can't do it anymore. So if you approach life with the same way that you approach the gym, that you're gonna do just a little bit more every day until you reach what your max is, you're gonna be successful in any field. Like you said that you're sales and finance, right?
Yeah, financial
Right. So
services.
you
Yeah.
do so you do 10 cold calls on Monday. On Tuesday you do 12 cold calls. You know what I mean? Until you reach the end of the month and you're doing 200, 300 cold calls a day. And doesn't matter what field, doesn't matter if you're just a single mom, you're a single mom. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or an athlete. If you approach life in that manner, you're going to be successful. So that's what I think the gym really helps people out.
I like that. You're building that, you're flexing that mental muscle, you know, as well as becoming more physically fit, more physically in shape, and um more comfortable in your skin, if you will, feeling better. You know, if I go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm gonna feel a whole lot better than if I spend that same time on the couch with chips and soda. And because I went to the gym, it's gonna help me.
Okay, so you kind of broke up in this last mm, 30 seconds or so, but if I kind of think what you were talking about reaching your potential.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, because you broke up and I couldn't really hear what you were saying. Um, but can you just elaborate on that again? Because yeah, like I said, you broke up and I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me know if it cuts out again. But um, so if you go to the gym, you're not only learning that mental muscle that you're flexing, you're flexing those physical muscles, and it's going to help you have more energy to work on your passion. If I go to the gym
Yeah,
three times a week, I'm going to feel a lot more better and be more productive than if I spent that same time on the couch with chips and soda.
exactly.
So you got
In
a
my opinion,
twofold.
the in my opinion, the mental muscle is the most important muscle you got. Um, but like I said, the gym is the easiest way to build that muscle up. The easiest way to increase discipline. And if you reach your max potential in the gym, there's no stopping you to reach your max potential in something else. So so
Um,
I think fitness. does play a huge part in success or becoming successful.
Exactly. Especially when you find someone who's passionate about it, as such as yourself. If you go into a gym and they're just
Yeah,
there.
thank you.
So yeah, of course. If you go to a gym and they're just there because they have to be to punch in and punch out, you get a totally different experience and outcome than if you go and work with you. So it makes a
Yeah,
huge difference
100%.
who you're working with. You could have crappier equipment, less equipment, but if the passion and the know-how and the sincerity is there, you're going to have a much better experience and much better results.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. And this is like a message to everybody out there who may be looking for a personal trainer. Um, the first question you should ask this person, the first two questions is why did you become a trainer? And why are you still a trainer? Now, if this trainer says, well, I like to work out, I got a free gym membership, so it doesn't hurt to make a little money on the side. Dump this trainer immediately. Find yourself somebody who actually, oh, I almost cursed again, who actually cares
thank you.
and who actually cares about who actually cares about your success and is willing to go that extra mile to customize your workout. Because usually when trainers answer like that, they're gonna train everybody the same exact way that they got in shape, and that leads to people dropping out of the gym. That leads to injuries. That leads to just creating a bad rep for yourself as a trainer. And so those two questions are crucial when you're looking for a trainer. And I don't think anybody from any walk of life or any state that you in the US or the world should start working with a trainer without asking them those questions.
Thank you. I think that's some great starter points for anyone who's needing to get into personal fitness. So,
Yeah.
where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you? I know we had this up a little bit before. Is that the best place, or is there where else can people find you?
Can I've never used this platform. Can I actually upload a picture so people can see it or no?
So yeah, you should be able to share your screen if you want, or I can post it up with the
Eh?
post production.
I'm like technology illiterate, man. My wife calls me a barbarian, but like it's all right. So let's do this. This is simpler for me. So anybody listening, you can always just shoot me a text, and it's 201-264-6930. Shoot me a text. Say, hey, I listened. I listened to you this afternoon on the podcast, and I'm interested in training. And wherever you are, we could probably set something up because I do an online training session.
Awesome, and
And
I got your number up.
also if you if you want to just check out my website, you can. And it's very simple. It's loveyourflex.com, and you'll see a picture of me, a little backstory about myself, and then you'll see all the packages that I offer. Hey, that's very good, man. Thank you.
Awesome, no, thank you. Yeah, so anyone looking, go to his website, shoot him a text. To me, in a way, that's always a positive sign when somebody gives you their personal cell phone number, because that means they got the interest. They're not going anywhere. Um,
No,
they want to help you.
thank you.
But yeah, Yorrdy, thank you for to be here. Thank you for sharing your insight, and your passion. I could tell you're very passionate about what you do. So thank you for that. And everyone tuning in, thank you for
Yeah, no
tuning in.
problem. Thank you for having me. And if you ever need a guest again, it'll be my pleasure to come on again. Thank you for having
Absolutely. And we're going to take you up on that for sure. So
me.
everybody look for that coming
Awesome.
down in the future. And remember to live your purpose, fulfill your passion, and explore those possibilities.
Awesome.